What's up, ladies and gents, Ghost here, and today I am a sad panda. I'm sure all of you guys have heard the news about Naval Strike. So most of us got this news yesterday, at least for those of us in Europe. I saw this while I was at work, and I was a bit disappointed, but I figured that since this was such a late revelation, or I suppose saying late would be a lot of an understatement. I mean, the game was right about to come out when they released the information that we weren't going to be getting it and that it had to be delayed. I thought it would only be a case of a few hours or a few days. Now, today when I got up this morning, DICE have now released and updated the blog post that they had over on the battlefield.com blog. They say here in the update, we wanted to provide more detail about the delay of Battlefield 4 Naval Strike. We have delayed the PC version of Naval Strike because we are concerned that the combination of the pack and planned PC updates would increase performance issues on mid-range to high-end PCs. We are working hard to resolve that issue now. Additionally, we have decided to delay the Xbox One version of Naval Strike because we want to address issues in the animation system that hinder players from engaging targets in set circumstances using popular weapon configurations. We know that many Battlefield 4 Premium owners wanted to play Naval Strike today. However, we didn't want to release the new content until we believed it was quality content. We are trying to resolve these issues as quickly as possible and hope to release the update in early April for Xbox One and PC. We also want to remind Xbox One and PC owners of Battlefield 4 Premium that they will have 2 weeks early access for Naval Strike once it's released. Thanks for your continued patience and passion for our games. Well, they're certainly right about the continued patience there. We have been extremely patient with DICE, and this kind of takes the piss, in my opinion. I thought this was going to be the case of a couple of days. They're now saying early April, and if I know DICE correctly, this will probably be early April to mid-April. So I'm sure a lot of you guys are pretty disappointed as well. This was really, really late of an announcement by DICE here. I mean, announcing that the game is going to be delayed on the actual day that it is supposed to be released. I have seriously never heard of that ever happening before. Delays, yeah, they happen with lots of gaming companies all the time, but they're usually with good notice and people know about it beforehand. Now, on the other hand, I am also somewhat pleased with DICE that they are actually biting the bullet here and saying, okay, you know what, this product isn't ready yet, it needs more work, there are issues with it, and we need to take some more time to resolve those issues, and not just sort of putting it out there by being sort of pushed into it by EA, like they did with the original release of Battlefield 4, you know. There have been numerous issues with the game since it has been released. Nobody's really ever been happy. They haven't even been able to get the netcode to the standard that it was in Battlefield 3, and even in BF3, the netcode was not perfect in that game. It was far from perfect, but it was a hell of a lot better than it currently is in Battlefield 4. So, I'm kind of happy that they're doing that, but, you know, come on, DICE. You done goofed. You messed up. Like, coming out with an announcement like that on a release day for something, you just don't do that. Now, one thing that really surprises me is when you think back to the release of Second Assault. It came out, it was brand new, premium users had it, 2 weeks later, everybody else could get their hands on the expansion as well. And even though it had only been out for a short amount of time, they already went and released information about Naval Strike, and they told us it was going to be coming towards the later end of March. And everybody was in an uproar over this. They were sort of saying, you know, well, DICE, come on, there's a lot of issues with the core game, and they had said that they were going to shift their priorities, they were going to concentrate on the core game and fixing that, and prioritize that over making the expansions. And the fact that they'd sort of gone and said that Naval Strike was going to be released around a month, so only 4 weeks after the release of Second Assault, seemed really contradictory and pretty ridiculous all in all. So I was definitely somebody who was really surprised by the news. I was like, whoa, it's coming so quick. I mean, Jesus, DICE, you know, let me finish playing one expansion before you release another. And dates started popping up on Origin, you know, the 18th of March, that popped up from somewhere, and then they decided to get rid of that and take it down, so people started to think, oh, 18th of March, that's a Tuesday, they always seem to release expansion sets on a Tuesday, so that's when it's coming. That turned out to be false, which is fine, you know, because it wasn't said in any kind of DICE official announcement that it was going to be coming out the 18th of March, it's just something that people had deduced by looking at the game itself on Origin. So they said, okay, it's going to be a week after that, it's going to be the 25th. Okay, fine, you know. And then it ends up being delayed again. I mean, I just really don't understand why DICE don't take their time. It's not like they hadn't just released a new expansion set for the game. They could have waited 3 months for me, you know. I would have been fine with that. I mean, why not wait till the start of the summer? I mean, oh, okay, 3 months may have been a little bit too much. But seriously, 1 month, in my opinion, that was just far too short of a time. And honestly, looking at those times, I'm really not surprised that the game isn't ready for release. In fact, I would really like to draw a comparison with another company. Blizzard is a company that really do things right. When it comes to releasing a game, they will take however much time they need to do that. If they need to take another half a year to polish a game and make it completely ready for release, bug-free, they will do that, and everybody is absolutely fine with that. They don't bother announcing the release date for the game until they are absolutely 100% sure that they can get it out on that date. I have never experienced them delaying a game because they just take their time. They take years and years developing a game and polishing it. And anybody who knows Blizzard will know that they really only develop a few games, you know. For the most part, I mean, okay, recently they've started broadening their game development into things like Heroes of the Storm and Hearthstone, but for the most part, most of their career, they have only had Diablo, StarCraft, and Warcraft, and, you know, they've taken a long time between each sequel. I mean, look at StarCraft 1, I think it was released in 1998, and then we only got StarCraft 2 like a few years ago, so I think it was around 13 years between those two games, you know, and that just really shows that they wanted to wait until they felt like, okay, we can really make a good sequel to StarCraft 2, and as a result, it's a great game. Every game that Blizzard brings out is just amazing, and I thoroughly enjoy them. For example, the Reaper of Souls expansion set for Diablo 3 was actually released on the same day that Naval Strike was supposed to be released. I was at a little bit of a crossroads, a little bit of a dilemma as to which I wanted to play. I wanted to play Naval Strike, I wanted to play Reaper of Souls, and now that Naval Strike isn't out, I guess I don't really have that dilemma anymore. But the point here is that the Reaper of Souls release went flawlessly, you know. They said it was going to be released at midnight, and boom, midnight, it was released. There wasn't any issues with people logging into the game or any issues within the game itself. Everything just works flawlessly, you know. They even had an event which was streamed live on Twitch. They had a countdown timer, so literally as soon as that timer was finished, you probably had millions of, or at least sort of hundreds of thousands of people logging themselves into the game. I'm pretty sure that if that would have happened on Battlefield 4, things would have gone a little bit rocky. I don't think they would have gone quite as smooth, and it just goes to show that that's a company that does things correct. They do things well, and everybody's happy with them as a result. I really think that DICE should take a few lessons from companies like that, take their time with developing games, and stop rushing their products. Anyway guys, that's about going to do it for this one. I hope you've enjoyed it. As you all know, it's not often that I actually make a rant video. In fact, I think I really never made a proper rant video for Battlefield 4 since it's been released, which I'm pretty proud of, because I feel like most of the YouTubers sort of jump on these issues and are like, the game's broken, bloody hell, you know, straight away. And I just kind of figure, well, you know, there's nothing I can do about it, so what's the point sort of kicking up a fuss and shouting about it? But at this point, I kind of feel like enough is enough, you know. People are already so disappointed with DICE, and this is really like the icing on the cake of their disappointment, right? So I would like to know your thoughts and feelings about DICE and generally the whole situation here below in the comments section. If you enjoyed the video, hitting like and leaving a comment helps me out and helps me grow as always, guys, so I always really appreciate that, and I will see you guys in the next one. Cheers.